The 128 channel VHF Motorola GM350. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So I did a short on my surprise of discovering that this Motorola GM350 for VHF, which is now programmed for 2 meters after I've just spent ages programming it, that actually worked. So it's currently on the GB3IR repeater, which I just programmed with the letter A as the channel alias, because you can actually do that on this. This is 128 channels. It was programmed with 2. I obviously got rid of them because they obviously were on frequencies that I obviously am not allowed to use because I don't have the license for those frequencies. I'm only licensed for amateur radio frequencies, which this has now been put on. So the only difference between the 4-channel and this is this has a couple of extra features and more channels. So to change the channels, these up-down buttons here. Got 4 buttons along the bottom. They can be programmed in the software to whatever you want. These can be programmed to whatever you want, but this one's usually programmed for monitor, which does make sense because it's a little speaker symbol. That one's been programmed for scan bank A, which is the top of my head, I think it's 16 channels you can scan at once. And press that and it'll scan until it finds something. Okay, I'm going to get it to ignore those. So when it's scanning, it'll come up with this symbol, 3 dashes on the display, and this light will flash until it comes across a transmission. I've got scan bank B in there. And it's come across the transmission. Do that again. I've also adjusted the squelch so it's a little bit more on the sensitive side. I needed a signal generator to do that, and my signal generator is in the box under this coffee table because I'm in the living room at the moment and this is on the coffee table, and I used my laptop to program it, and using a programming interface that I assembled from schematics from the website of George M1GEO, and I do thank him for posting that, because otherwise I would have had to have bought a pre-made cable, which I didn't really want to do because, well, I like to put things together myself. So this is now all it's reassembled and working. I had to use heatsink compound for my computer build in there to replace the heatsink compound that was missing when I stripped it down. That has actually worked a treat, and I have tested this on transmit. It transmits perfectly fine. It's about 21 watts when I put the meter in line last. So not too bad. Not the full 25 as quoted, but that's okay. So I'm going to go over to the programming software and show you more or less how it's programmed. But bear in mind, I won't be able to show you the repeaters because the programming software it just crashes when it comes across a channel program with CTCSS, but there is a way around that. So we'll switch to the computer screen and I'll show you that. Okay, there's a tiny little bit of mains hum on this, but there's nothing I can do about that at the moment. I'm not sure what's causing it, where it's coming from, that kind of thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at programming. So we're going to read from the radio first. I've already done that, but we'll do it for the sake of completeness. So that's reading from the radio. You'll see the progress bar, and then it'll come up successfully complete. So we'll come off that, and we will have a look at what we can change here. So this is how I've got the radio programmed at the moment. So the buttons are, I'm just going to have to move this USB cable that's got in the way. So the buttons are programmed monitor, quite obvious. I'd program that one as monitor, so it's got a symbol of a speaker on it. Scan A is on this button, scan B is there, nuisance delete is there. Repeater talk around is on A, and B is not set. That's how I've done it. So the radio, you can set the transmit LED, which is a static red LED that comes up on the top. The receive LED is the same one, but it flashes. There's a auto reset time in there. It's set for 7 seconds, so that's just been left as it was. There's an external alarm mode that's disabled. We don't want that. Engaged alerts are set to variable volume. I don't think that does anything. There's a force monitor mode set here to always. And there's a force monitor alert, which is variable volume. I don't think that does anything. It'll power up on the last channel, which is what I want it to do. Off-hook function I've got turned off. Handset audio, that's switched off. Because I'm not actually sure what that does. Because I think that's just a microphone, it's not a speaker mic. So all the alerts are set to variable volume, which means the volume of those is controlled by the volume buttons on the front, which is those. So got settings for the variable volume down here. Memory channel 1, memory channel 2, modifiable. We've not got those set because I don't need those. Just going to go back to the top. So that's the per radio settings on the radio that you can change. I'm going to then go to per channel. We'll just look at one channel on that. So on this channel you can allow the channel selection or you can disallow the channel selection if you want. In a business environment you'd only have 1 or 2 channels programmed anyway because you'd only be licensed to use 1 or 2 frequencies. Talk around is usually used on repeaters. It's not going to work on any of the simplex channels I've got set. You can set a display alias or the channel number, whichever you want to do. DPL and PL are CTCSS and DCS basically. PL is CTCSS. I'm not going to show you a channel set up like this with CTCSS because it crashes the software if I do. So you can set the squelch of how that works, whether it works with PL, DPL. Oh, there's somebody out there. So we know it's receiving quite well actually. So tone, PL, DPL plus tone, we don't need to set any of that. I have that set to carrier on all of the channels because I'm not necessarily. Let's just knock that down. Right, so I've just turned that down so we can get back to what we were doing, because I'm not sure if this microphone's even picking it up. So we've got here, I've got pre-emphasis and de-emphasis on. I'd leave that as is on all the channels. I'm not going to show, like I say, show a channel with CTCSS enabled because it would crash the software. So I'm just going to come off that window. Because now we've done that, we can have a look at the scan settings, because this radio can scan. The 4-channel one doesn't have that facility, although you can still edit the scan list, which is interesting. So scan list A is the first 16, scan list B is 17 through to 32, and you can set how they work, transmit mode, designated transmit channels and things like that. The scan LED on, which is this bottom one. It's so it'll flash like that while it's scanning, and there's a little symbol there. That's just to demonstrate that. So I'm not going to do the scan list again. I'm just going to come off that now. and we can also change things like the GPIO lines in the back of the radio, but that's not something I'm going to cover here. And then there's the overview of all the channels, and you can also add a channel and delete a channel. So we are actually going to add a channel. I'm going to add it like so, and I'm going to then go into the overview, because if I go into per channel, like I said, it will crash the software, because I'm going to temporarily check it for CTCSS and make sure it's disabled. Because what we are going to do is I'm going to change these frequencies over 145, because I didn't do this to begin with, 21250. Oh, actually that's slightly wrong. It will probably work, but it might have a hissy fit. Try that again. So make sure that transmit and receive frequencies are identical on that. I'll leave that off for the minute. I will press OK on that, and then I will go back to per channel. I should be able to look at that. That's gone into per radio for some reason. Let's try that again. So I should be able to look at that, and I'm going to change this to display, well, 1cc. So and the reason why I'm going to do that, so it resembles ICC. I'm going to press OK on that, and I'll cancel that because we don't need it. And we'll go back to the overview, and we'll turn the CTCSS back on. That's the MB7ICC gateway at Stockton-on-Tees, which is on 2125, which I've never ever used before. And I've known it's been there since at least 2020, because I first discovered it when I was working at Amazon in Darlington. I actually have a little video clip of that on the channel somewhere, so you can have a look for that. But I can hear it from here, which is actually pretty good. So that's now all set. I'm going to press OK, and then I am going to write that to the radio shortly. In fact, we can do that now, can't we? So this is the write to radio button. We press that. Ah, it's telling me there's something wrong somewhere. So I'm not sure what it was telling me that was wrong. But it has programmed the channel, so I'll have to have a look, find out what it was telling me was wrong. It says there was something wrong. Can I look at the personality validation? Talk around selected with invalid transmit frequency. Okay. That's not going to cause a problem. Well, you can hear it. So I'm going to test that when it's not busy. So obviously I want to be able to get into it. But I can't change that setting right now, but I know what's actually wrong. So if I now close the software, ask if I really want to exit that. Yep, I will rerun the software just to check it will download that data from the radio, even though it doesn't particularly like the option I've set. Yep, it's still coming up with that message, but it still says it's successfully completed. So what we'll do to fix that problem is we'll go to Overview, because we know what the problem is, and then I have to disable the CTCSS temporarily so I can actually get to the channel in question, because I can't actually do it from Overview. So if I disable that, Then press OK. Then I go to per channel. And then I go to that channel by pressing this button quickly, 36, and we will take the tick out that box and then press OK. And then if I then go to overview, I should be able to reset the CTCSS. I think other versions of this software won't crash, but the version that I've got does crash. I have no idea as to why. So I press that, and then do that, and then if I rewrite to the radio, we don't get an error this time. And the radio has now reset. So we can now close the software off, because we are now done with the software. Okay, so I'm going to, well, when it's not just randomly putting noise through the Hubnet, so I've got the Hub network monitor in front of me just to see if it's actually working as well. I'm going to see if I can access the MB7ICC gateway from here. But I've also got to make sure everything's reset before I even try and do that. So give it a couple of seconds. Let's try this moment of truth. See whether my programming is spot on, or I've made a mistake somewhere, or I'm just too far away. 15 miles according to Repeater Book, so let's give it a go. Mike 0, Whiskey November Uniform, checking access to Hubnet via MB7ICC. I'd say that was successful. But unsurprisingly, no one's come back to me. But if we go to the Hub monitor, let's look on my phone here, if we can get it into focus. Focus. As you can see, MB7ICC. And you also heard it play a little tone when it actually worked. So yes, that's successfully programmed for that gateway, but no one's come back to me, so I'm guessing everybody's probably don't know. It's 10 to 4 on a Saturday, so let's have a flick round and see if there's anyone else out there. So that's the gateway, but obviously I can't access the gateway on that frequency because the CTCSS isn't set. I'm not sure what's going on there on 2625. Or 325. Or 3875. And this one's the GB3IR repeater. I've not heard anyone on there for the last few days, so. But the radio, I've just demonstrated that it's programmed up for that gateway, so I might as well demonstrate it's programmed up for this repeater as well. This is the GB3IR repeater. Let's see if we can get a contact either on the repeater or simplex. We'll try the repeater. Mike 0, Whiskey November Uniform, listening through GB3IR for any calls. I'm going to say no because I don't tend to get anything when I'm recording. It's very rare. But we know it's working. It's sending out the CTCSS when you transmit on the channels that require it. And I've already tested it on simplex, so I already know it's working there. I've no reason to doubt that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to wrap up this video and say that this is fixed. I've even added a little iFixit sticker there. That's from iFixit. And so to identify the radio, I've decided to go old school because I don't know where my P-Touch machine's gone. So I've decided instead of that, I will use a Dymo one instead. So old school, you can still get those actually. If you know where to look, I think Ryman's have them in the UK and possibly the Range as well, because I'm pretty sure that's where I last saw them. I obviously haven't been out that way. So this is a Motorola GM350 VHF, which has been successfully programmed for the 2-meter band. So I can access the Hubnet with it through a local gateway in Stockton. Although, if I want access to the Hubnet, I can also do it through my hotspot or a System Fusion gateway down in Richmond. So that's the 3CD repeater, but I've been a bit creative with that. That's the HG repeater. GB3IR, I've just put A in there. So that I haven't figured out how I'm going to put IR in there. And we've got the simplex frequencies as well, including calling channel. It's been quite quiet, so I'm just going to put it back onto there. And we'll think we'll call it there because I've already ascertained it's working and I don't need to do anything else. So hopefully I'll get this radio put to some use very soon, because, well, I've got it, I might as well use it, and I've got my FTM 400 as well. There is a story behind this radio, actually. I'll go over it briefly. Prior to my car accident, I was thinking of getting another car, which is why I decided to buy one of these to use on 2 meters to put it in another car. So when I'm doing, when I was doing my deliveries, I would have a radio in the other car, but obviously the accident happened, so I couldn't get another car. And yeah, because I wasn't able to work. So this was on my to repair pile for quite some time, but it's done now. I'm happy with it. It seems to work. And I've shown you the basics of programming it and that sort of thing. So these pop up on eBay now and again, either in the 4-channel version or the 128-channel version, which is this version. I've got a 4-channel version, as you know. That one's for 4 meters. Which is actually what I borrowed the microphone and the power lead off. So that microphone actually goes with the 4-channel radio, which is the one on the top. And you can see the differences straight away. So you've got these 2 buttons here and the 4 buttons along the bottom and the power button. And you've got still got the row of 3 LEDs, but you've got LEDs above those buttons, so you know which channel selected. Those 2 buttons are over here on this one, and the 4 buttons at the bottom are 1, 2, A and B rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, and the channel change is done here instead of 4 buttons there. So 4-channel versions for VHF low band are good for 4 meters. The 128-channel versions for that are also good for 4 meters. The 4-channel for the band that this is for, 136 to 174 for VHF, those could be put to use as an iGate or some other kind of gateway. The heatsink on the back is useful. The adjustable power in the programming software can get it to whatever you're licensed to operate the gateway or iGate or digipeater at. You can use them from APIs digipeters as well, thanks to that accessory port in the back. Yep, they're good little versatile radios, so just have a look on eBay. They either come up as this one did, which was untested, no power lead, no microphone, or they'll come up with a power lead and a microphone, or check the rallies out as well. The Blackpool rally a couple of years ago is where I got the 4 meter version one from. That was already programmed. I didn't actually have to do anything with it until I discovered there was a programming error in it. And a programming interface, as I said, easily made. Just going to disconnect it from the USB cable. So I've got an offcut of Ethernet cable here, and the other end of that is a serial to USB board here, and it's a bit blurry. I think I've shown building this. So in there's just 2 wires connected, and there's a diode in there as well. And the schematic for that is on George M1GEO's website. I'll pop a link to that in the video description below. So 7.3 for now. I'll catch you in the next one, and I will have some fun playing with this Motorola GM350 for VHF. Well, for 2 meters, this one.